Today, the campaign for financial justice is taking a look at interest as a destroyer of empires past. We're dissecting the Roman Empire to understand how a civilization that once bestrode the world could crumble into dust. Our journey? Unraveling the tangled threads of Roman finance to reveal how interest hollowed out the very core of an empire. From rustic barter to glittering gold, we'll unearth the monetary decisions that shaped and shattered this mighty civilization. Buckle up, because this isn't your high school history lesson. This is a brutal autopsy of power, greed, and the invisible hand of finance that can strangle even the mightiest empires. Let's rewind to Rome's humble beginnings, a time when cattle, not coins, were king. In these early days, the wealth of a person was not measured by the weight of gold or silver, but by the number of cattle they owned. Imagine a world where wealth was measured in hooves and horns, where the value of a transaction could be heard in the lowing of cattle and the clinking of their bells. In this pastoral economy, transactions were a symphony of mooing and haggling, a dance of bartering that required skill and patience. As Rome expanded its territories and influence, this barter system began to creak under the strain. The growing complexity of trade and the vast distances involved made it increasingly difficult to rely solely on livestock for transactions. Enter AE's rude, irregular lumps of copper, the proto-currency of a burgeoning empire. These rough pieces of metal began to replace cattle in trade, offering a more practical solution for an expanding economy. Over time, these crude chunks of metal were standardized into ingots, AES signetum, bearing the official stamp of Roman authority. This standardization marked a significant shift in the Roman economy, providing a more reliable and consistent medium of exchange. Finally, from these clunky ingots emerged the AIS grave cast bronze coins, the world's first glimpse at what we might recognize as money. These coins were easier to carry and trade, revolutionizing the way Romans conducted business. This shift from tangible goods to symbolic tokens contained the seeds of both unimaginable prosperity and devastating ruin. The new monetary system allowed Rome to flourish, but it also laid the groundwork for economic crises that would challenge the empire in the centuries to come. With the arrival of silver coins like the denarius, Rome entered a new era of expansion and conquest. These coins weren't just currency, they were symbols of Roman power and influence, representing the might of an empire that stretched across continents. The Roman legions, fueled by the promise of wealth and glory, marched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Their conquests brought vast amounts of silver into the empire, further solidifying Rome's dominance. These coins weren't just currency, they were symbols of Roman power. The control of minting rested firmly in the hands of the patrician elite, who used this power to their advantage. The patricians, the wealthy and powerful class of Rome, controlled the minting process known as seigniorage. This allowed them to generate wealth by creating more coins, often debasing the metal content for profit. The minting process, known as seigniorage, allowed the elite to generate wealth by creating more coins, often debasing the metal content for profit. This practice of debasement led to inflation and economic instability, but it also fueled the hunger for more silver. The debasement of coins became a common practice as the elite sought to maximize their wealth. This often led to a decrease in the value of the currency, causing economic turmoil. This fueled the hunger for more silver, more conquest, more power. The Roman military campaigns became increasingly focused on acquiring precious metals, rather than just defending the empire's borders. Military expansion became less about defending borders and more about securing precious metals. The relentless pursuit of silver drove the Roman legions to the farthest reaches of the known world. This militarization of Roman society, driven by the thirst for silver, set in motion a chain reaction that would have devastating consequences. The constant need for more resources led to overextension, internal strife, and ultimately, the decline of the Roman Empire. Gold, the ultimate symbol of wealth, power, and, in Rome's case, a dangerous illusion. Roman leaders adopted a gold standard, believing it would usher in prosperity. Instead, Rome experienced deflation. As gold flooded the economy, the value of everything else plummeted. This deflationary spiral crippled economic activity. The Roman economy, once a roaring furnace of trade and commerce, began to sputter. The need for gold led to more wars, further stretching their legions and draining their treasury. Meanwhile, the gold flowed out of Rome to pay for luxury goods and to service growing debts, often ensnared in the web of interest. Let's pause and examine the societal earthquake triggered by Rome's shift to silver coinage. This monumental change didn't just alter the economy, it reshaped the very fabric of Roman life. The introduction of silver coinage was a double-edged sword, bringing both prosperity and peril. Italy held no significant silver deposits, so every denarius was a product of conquest. Roman legions marched across foreign lands, seizing silver to mint their currency. This relentless pursuit of silver fueled Rome's expansionist policies, leading to countless wars and conflicts. This reliance on foreign silver transformed Roman society. The influx of wealth created a stark divide between the rich and the poor. Markets flourished, but at a cost. The economy became increasingly dependent on the spoils of war, making peace a rare commodity. The Roman peasantry, once the backbone of their agricultural might, were ripped from their fields and thrust into foreign wars. These farmers turned soldiers left behind their livelihoods, leading to a decline in agricultural productivity and self-sufficiency. As the ranks of farmers dwindled, small farms were replaced by latifundia, vast slave-run estates owned by the wealthy elite. These large estates not only changed the landscape but also the social dynamics, concentrating wealth and power in the hands of a few. These estates further eroded the social fabric of Roman society. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, creating a breeding ground for discontent and instability. The once cohesive Roman community began to fracture under the weight of inequality. This was the fertile ground in which the seeds of social unrest were sown, fertilized by the corrosive effects of a silver-dependent economy. The social and economic turmoil that ensued would eventually contribute to the decline of the Roman Empire, showing how currency, once a symbol of power, became a harbinger of decay. Imagine another insidious force eating away at Roman society: usury. This wasn't just about borrowing and lending, it was about exploitation on a grand scale. Desperate farmers turned to lenders who demanded exorbitant interest, trapping them in a cycle of debt. These predatory lending practices forced countless citizens off their land and into debt bondage. The gap between rich and poor grew into a gaping maw. This widespread poverty fueled a wave of social unrest that shook Roman society. Think of Spartacus, whose rebellion was a symptom of a society rotting from within, devoured by interest. Enter Julius Caesar, who recognized the existential threat posed by Rome's debt crisis. Caesar enacted debt relief measures, resetting property values to pre-war levels. He imposed strict interest rate caps, limiting the amount of interest lenders could charge. Compound interest was outlawed. Caesar wrested control of the mint from the elite, bringing it under state control. He issued new, cheaper coins to inject liquidity into the economy. Caesar implemented public works projects, providing employment and income to Rome's struggling underclass. Free housing and increased soldier pay aimed at reducing the vulnerability of ordinary Romans to usurers. Ironically, the gold standard played a key role in Rome's demise. The scarcity of gold created a deflationary black hole in the economy. Wars were fought to secure more gold, but the costs were unsustainable. The Roman treasury was drained by endless campaigns. Luxury goods from the east depleted Roman coffers. With the rise of Christianity, the tithe transferred vast sums of wealth to the church. Much of this wealth was hoarded, exacerbating the deflationary pressures. The gold standard, intended to bring stability, hastened Rome's fall. We stand amidst the ruins of Rome, picking through the rubble of a once mighty empire. What lessons can we glean from Rome's monetary turmoil? The danger of allowing economic systems to become unmoored from the real needs of the people they serve. When the pursuit of wealth supersedes the well-being of citizens, empires crumble. Rome's story is a reminder that even the mightiest empires are not immune to greed and poorly conceived economic policies. As we navigate our own economic uncertainties, we would do well to heed the lessons of the past. The ghost of Rome serves as a haunting reminder of the fragility of human endeavors. Rome may be dust, but the forces that brought it low are still alive. The names may have changed, but the game remains the same. Do you see echoes of Rome's excesses in our own time? The insatiable hunger for wealth, the widening gap between rich and poor, the political corruption fueled by unchecked greed. Unlike the citizens of Rome, we have the benefit of hindsight. We can learn from their mistakes and choose a different path, like subscribe, share. Join the movement to abolish interest at outlook.com.